What's up? I'm John Middlekauff, the host of the Three and Out podcast, and you can find it below in the description. Also, you're watching this on the Volumes YouTube channel. I need you to subscribe right now. Share it with your friends. Well, it is week one, and that means one thing and one thing only. It's time to gamble. And my man Stuckey, live from just a vacation that is ending because week one is officially here. Recording this on Thursday morning before the Rams-Bills game. I know you were all over college football last weekend. You can find Stuckey all over the Action Network podcast, Big Bets on Campus, social media, talks a lot of shit on Twitter. Stuckey, what's happening, bro?
What's good? It's good to be back. I'm excited. College football is here, and now we're about to add NFL to the mix because it's when college football is back, it's kind of like week 0 is the bread with the olive oil. Week 1 is the appetizer because you wake up Sunday and it doesn't feel the same because it's Sunday at 1 or 10 if you're on the West Coast. There's no NFL. That change is starting tonight, so it's good to be back.
Let's start in Miami because I've talked as much shit, and I'm sure a lot of people have, as anyone on Belichick and the offensive coordinator situation, and Matt Patricia to me is insanity. But he's still Bill Belichick, and he still knows what he's doing, and he can coach any position. And while Miami definitely recently, but it feels like historically, has always been a problem for the Patriots, New England went down there on Tuesday, and Mike McDaniel has never called plays, ever. I mean, he has been a huge influence on Kyle Shanahan, but he was never the play caller. And really, he was the run game coordinator. So now he's charged. If you talk to people with the 49ers like Debo and Kyle Juszczyk, like the guys getting the ball in their hands, they loved him, but it wasn't like Jimmy Garoppolo was working with him on a daily basis. Now he has to take care of Tua, who I'm not a big fan of. So from a value standpoint, I mean, it feels like New England, even though I'm not a big Patriot believer this season, but week 1 is the play, getting 3.5 points at Miami. How about you?
Yeah, I would lean that way. I think it's Patriots or nothing. I actually like, and you have to be concerned about the play calling on both, but I actually would look at this over. I mean, it went from 45 is a key number. It's now 46. I still like it at 46. But I think that both of these defenses should take a step back this year, especially early on for the Dolphins. Losing Brian Flores, we'll see what that does to the defense. But Byron Jones, their starting corner, is out. They were going to count on this kid, Trill Williams, year 2. He's out for the year. You're going to throw Nick Needham in there, who's also hurt. Igbenogany, who's struggled in the past. Like, their corner situation is rough. And if you look, the Dolphins' defense, and their offense should take a step forward. We'll see on the play calling on both sides with the Patriots and Dolphins. But they have a lot of guys that just get the ball in space, which should work with Tua and this McDaniel offense in theory. And the Patriots also lost their best corner and some pieces up front. So I think their defense might take a step back. And it's reasonable to think that Mac Jones will take a step forward after what we saw in year 1. But this Dolphins defense, I think, is just overrated in the market. If you look last year, here are their wins. They won 9 games. Here are the quarterbacks they beat: Ian Book, Mike Glennon, Tyrod Taylor, Joe Flacco, Cam Newton. They beat Lamar Jackson on a Thursday, short rest game, brilliant defensive game plan. Mac Jones in his rookie debut, and then Mac Jones in the finale when the Patriots weren't playing for anything once the Bills won.
So they weren't exactly beating Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady.
No, beat third string quarterback. And then in their 8 losses, they gave up an average of 31 points per game, gave up at least 23 in all 8 games, 30 in 5 of those 8. And that includes the Falcons, the Jaguars. So this defense, when they were facing a starting quarterback, was not good. Now you don't have your starting corner in there. And I think the Patriots defense could take a step back. So I think there's actually a little bit of value in this over, but I agree. Now that you're getting the hook with the Patriots, that's the only way you can look there.
Okay, the reigning number 1 seed in the AFC, the Titans, who I think most people think are going to take a step back, playing the Giants, who I would say universally everyone would kind of agree they suck. I know you're leaning away on this game. Fire.
Yeah, I like the Giants a lot here. It's scary, but look, I think the Giants will be better. Their offensive line should be better, right? Their tackle situation is better. Even though if you got Ben Bredeson in there starting at left guard, they didn't have some offensive line injuries in the preseason. But last year, their offense was just crushed by injuries. But the most important thing is they have competent coaching now on the sidelines. So from a play calling perspective, from a 4th down decision-making perspective, And just from hey, we're not going to quarterback sneak the ball on 3rd and 8 or whatever they did last year. So I think from that standpoint, they're going to be a lot better. They'll look like more of a competent football team from a decision-making standpoint. Dable should have some new looks for Daniel Jones as well that Tennessee hasn't seen. I'm sure they're going to use him more on RPO, but just a lot more early down passing. And I think with Wink Martindale now coming in as defensive coordinator, he's going to blitz a lot. They need that. They need to create pressure. And this is a Tennessee team that I think is going to take an enormous step back. I mean, you're trying to replace A.J. Brown you need a rookie to step up who hasn't looked good in camp in Treylon Burks. The offensive line has questions. The defense now lost their sack leader for the year and Harold Landry for the year. And I don't think, when you look at the Giants' primary weaknesses, it's the offensive line still. Like the receivers look like they might be healthy, but Tennessee not going to kill you with pressure, and they just lost Landry. And the Giants' second corner situation is really bad, and that's going to hurt them a lot this year. They haven't gone. Aaron Robinson, I think, is their projected starting number 2. The Tennessee receivers, if you look at them, there's one team you want to play with some questions at secondary. It's this Tennessee offense. So I think the Giants, and look, catching 5.5, 6 in an NFL game with a really low total historically has been a very good bet. Points will be at a premium in this game. Daniel Jones, for whatever it's worth, you don't bet him at home. You bet him on the road. This is a pretty wild stat. He's 11-4 against the spread on the road. When he has as an underdog of 7.5 points or fewer on the road, he's 9-0 against the spread. He will keep. He's not going to wow you. Might not be starting by the end of the year, but this Giants team has been feisty on the road, even with poor coaching. So yeah, I think this ends up being the field goal game.
My only question on that one, because I'm with you on the Titans taking a little step, like this might be a transition year for them, is that did you see Brian Dable says he's not even going to call plays? Like I hate it when he got hired to call plays. Now he's not calling plays. Now, like his influence on the offense, not like he's just like twiddling his thumbs. I mean, he's going to be a huge play designer. But say one thing for I almost called him New England, but Tennessee and Vrabel, I mean, their GM's a New England guy, is they do have cohesion on the coaching staff, and Vrabel's proven to be pretty damn good. And I think, every time you kind of want to discount them, and I know I have, I think we all agree they're not going to be the 1 seed. It's like they're kind of better than you think. They're just kind of been one of those operations. But
no, I agree. Vrabel's one of the most underrated coaches in the NFL. They consistently overperform. The only team in the NFL that has gone over their win total in 5 straight years. And you
like them under this year, I would take it.
Yeah, I bet them under this year and under 9.5. But historically, even Vrabel, very good as an underdog, very, very strong. As a favorite, not that strong. This is when you fade the Titans generally as a favorite. I think this ends up being a close game. Scary, but welcome to NFL betting.
Well, I think we're in agreement on this last one because this is a number that just leaped out to me. I think the Houston Texans, I don't think by any means they're probably a playoff team, but I would imagine they are much improved, and they're going to be pretty feisty. And feisty might mean 6-7 wins, but 7.5 points, depending on what it goes off at on Sunday, to me feels like the bet of the weekend. At home against Indy, I've been thinking a lot about this, Stuckey. Are we sure Frank Reich is a good coach? He gets a lot of hype, just because he's been a part of the Super Bowl team as an offensive coordinator. Indy last year, I mean, that was pretty embarrassing. Seems like a great guy, so everyone roots for him. But like, is he? I mean, we know who the good offensive coaches are in the NFL, and it feels like he kind of gets lumped in there every once in a while. It's like, no, let's pump the brakes on that one. I'm not sure. And here's the other thing on Matt Ryan. When's the last time Matt Ryan played in a big fucking game? I mean, it sure feels like it's been a while. Now, I'm not saying this is necessarily quote unquote a big game, but this is a big season for the Colts. And it's like, are we sure Matt Ryan's good? Because the one thing when they got Phillip Rivers, like, his team had been really close to the playoffs and they had fallen short, but like Rivers had been playing in big games. Like Matt Ryan the Falcons have been terrible. So now that you get all these hype, like, oh, Matt Ryan's back. Like, we'll see. I'm not necessarily a believer, but I'm not saying the Colts are going to stink, but I don't know. I mean, I'm picking them to win the division, but I don't feel great about it. Part of it is just the division stinks. Yep. But I think we're in agreement here. Houston plus 7.5, but fire some numbers that make me feel good about it.
Yeah, home division dogs in week 1 historically, especially teams that people think are going to be bad. This is
Wasn't that
usually
the
a great
Jags
bet
and the
in the
Colts
NFL.
2 years ago when they beat
Yep.
Phillip Rivers?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, look, and the Colts, for whatever reason, are start slow every year. They're 0-4 in week one, and they've been favored in some of them. They're 0-3-1 against the spread. They'll start 0-2, 0-3. Divisional home dogs of more than 7 are 10-2 against the spread since 2003, covering by 6 points per game. 7 of the 12 have won. It's rare to see, but they're 10-2 against spread. Divisional home dogs in week one overall since 2009, 19-5 against the spread, just under 80%. They have won 15 of those 24 games. So just divisional dogs in week one, home or road, 60% over the past 25 years. This is when you bet them. You're obviously at a key number 2 of 7. The Colts receivers are not going to wow you, which is important against the Texans, who will have 2 rookies in that secondary contributing. So yeah, I don't think it's a terrible matchup. It's home divisional dog catches 7 or more in week one is almost always a look for me. I think the Colts are getting a little bit too much love. Their best defensive player and Leonard might not play, trending towards potentially not, which is important as well. So yeah, I think that the Texans keep this close and probably have a good shot of pulling off the upset, and then they'll fade into the oblivion the rest of the year.
If you were going to go with one of those 3 games we just talked about as a money line underdog winner, what team would you go with?
I'd probably go with the Giants, and then I think you also have to look at the one game that we didn't talk about was that I like is the Steelers. I'm waiting to see if a 7 pops, but the 6.5 I still like. You want some trends for a play. I mean, for whatever reason, I don't really put any stock in this, but the Super Bowl loser, like the Super Bowl winner is always good in week one. The Super Bowl loser is 4-18 against the spread since 2000 in their season opener. But the Steelers are an underdog.
You love Tomlin as a dog.
Yeah, and this is a divisional dog, by the way, in week one. Fits that profile as well. But the Steelers are 47-26-3 as an underdog under Tomlin. That is the best by far. That's 64.4%. And in the division against AFC North teams, Tomlin 19-6-2 against the spread, 76%. Tomlin is not the best X's and O's guy. What he is probably the best motivator. I'm going to get you. He's in the locker room. We're playing the AFC champion that beat the shit out of us twice last year. Week one, we're going to go out on the road and look, I like what the Bengals did in the offseason. Excuse me. Love what the Bengals did in the offseason, upgrading their offensive line. And I think that'll pay off towards the end of the year. But there's 4 new guys up there. Week one, not a lot of continuity going against a ferocious defensive front that could give them some problems. You could see, I mean, it's a very confusing front, could see some blown assignments here. Look, I'm not a fan of Mitch Trubisky at all, but he has legs, and that the Steelers' offensive line is bad. So that aspect of Trubisky will help this offense. You also have some new looks with this offense that you just didn't have last year with a quarterback who was a statue in Roethlisberger, who just had to stand there and couldn't move. So you'll have some new looks here. Low scoring game, like total is low 40s, catching over 6. Wait to see. I'm going to see if I can get a 7. But yeah, Tomlin is a dog in the division. Just almost an auto bet.
God, Stuckey, you fired me up on all these underdogs. Enjoy the weekend. Have a safe flight back, and let's make some freaking money.
Absolutely. Good luck this weekend, everyone.
Thanks for watching 3 and Out. You can check out the podcast below in the description, and make sure you subscribe right now to the Volumes YouTube channel.